Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Lisa the PFJ and this is my first ever video I will upload to my channel. A quick intro about myself. I'm in my late 30s. I live in Saudi Arabia, which I have done for the past nearly 8 years. I live here with my husband and my nearly 9-year-old son, and I will mostly be concentrating on all things pop culture related. I am a huge movie buff, probably not as much as some other people might be, but I think I could hold my own. I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or at least did until very recently, but I'll go into more detail as time goes on. I am a huge Harry Potter fan, and still am, regardless of the shenanigans surrounding the lady who created Harry Potter. I basically just love all things to do with pop culture, but I have noticed the shift that has occurred in recent years, and that is what I'm aiming to cover most of all on my channel as I go further into my career on here, if you want to even call it that. I have been inspired by many content creators on this platform. The most forefront have been Jeremy from TheQuartering, the Critical Drinker, fellow Scots person, Az from HeelvsBabyface, Gary from Nerdrotic, Geeks and Gamers, which I'm also a huge fan of, and many others who I watch regularly. Well, not on a pop culture front. I am a big fan of Phetasy, and also love Michael Malice and find their takes on things very interesting, and that's how far I'll go with that for now. I wanted to open up my video with my take on a recent movie that came out, I'm sure you've heard of, Spiderman No Way Home. And not just my take on that movie itself, but just what it reminded me of, about how much I love movies and why I love them. I went to see it on the 23rd of December with my husband and son. It was an awesome experience. I loved most of it. There are some parts which I wasn't as fond of as others, but for the most part I thought it was just a wonderful throwback to the previous guys that played the role. Tobey Maguire was great. Andrew Garfield was unbelievably good. I was very impressed with him most of all. He took what shouldn't have been his film and made it his film, in my opinion. He was so good and way better than I think most people would have expected, including myself. Tom Holland played his best role as Spider-Man so far. I actually did quite like him the previous movies, way more than some people probably did, but he was his best version of Spider-Man that he has been so far in the Marvel movies. The inclusion of all the old villains was great. I liked Jamie Foxx. I loved Alfred Molina playing Doc Ock. I mean, he was every bit as good as he was in his original appearance from Spider-Man 2. But Willem Dafoe was the standout as far as I was concerned. He is a great actor anyway. I don't think I've ever seen him in a film where he's been bad. Even if the film he's been in hasn't been particularly good, he's always given great performances, and I was hugely impressed with him. I won't go into too many spoilers because even though it's been out for over a week, I still want to give other people a chance. But what it pulled me back to was two things. One, seeing my son's reaction to it, and it took me to the early days, right back to the beginning of Spider-Man for the big screen, when he appeared first in the early 2000s, when Tobey Maguire first played him. My son's reaction, every time I looked at him, he was pulling some kind of awe-inspired face. He's been a huge fan of Tom Holland anyway, but when he saw even Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire playing their parts in it, he was awestruck, and some of the fight scenes and the set pieces, he was just awestruck by all of it, and it just reminded me of how great it is to go to a cinema, and it made me feel a way that I haven't felt about going to a cinema in a very, very long time. Even, and this is a bit of a specific reference, but where I live, cinemas have become a bit of a new experience for everyone. They haven't had them for a long time in this country, and they just recently built a load of them. There were about another 6 people who were all local people watching this movie, and for the fact that this hasn't been a very common thing for them, their reactions to that movie, what I saw, was every bit as much as what we were. They were getting really excited. When the guys make their first appearance, they reacted the same way we did. They were really excited. They made little cheers, and it was just completely out of the blue. I was not expecting it even for a second. But also what it reminded me of was my own experience of what brought me to this, and seeing Spiderman for the first time. I went to see it when it first came out, and was it 2002? I went to see it with one of my best friends at the time, and we had a free day. We went to see it because it was just what we liked to do at the time, and we loved it so much that we stepped out of that cinema and went, I want to see that again. It was the first thing I thought when I came out. I loved it so much, I want to see that film again. And we were like, we've got the day free. We have another couple of hours before we have to do anything else. And there was a show about to start like half hour afterwards. We were like, do you want to go again? Like, yeah. It was one of those where we were so loved it that we wanted to go and see that movie again, and it reminded me of that going to see this film this week. It is something that was totally unexpected and made me just remember why I love movies and why I love going to the cinema. Something that I haven't really thought about for such a long time, because I haven't really gone to the cinema that recently very often. So that's pretty much how it should be. And the fact that it hasn't been like that for a long time is a little bit sad, but this has just made me remember how fun it is to go and see a movie and go to the cinema. And seeing it through the eyes of my son as well just brings us full circle of why this is such an important thing to a lot of people and why movies matter. And that's about where I'm going to leave it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. If you feel like subscribing, please do so. And I will see you guys in the next one, hopefully. Thank you very much, and goodbye.